The feet are fairly easy operation. Switch to setup mode. We're going to middle mouse click on the Nate_calf, switch to a left view, and let's move in. We're going to create one more bone on the end of this bone. Use the plus key to add another bone. Go down to the bottom and make this bone really small. This will be an end effector for an IK chain. Switch to the bone tab, and we're going to set the slip to 1 so it doesn't distort the mesh. We're going to call this bone ankle attach R. Go to the add block. We're going to add a null, which is the control for the feet. We're going to call this one Nate_IK foot R for the right side. Click on the plus button to add that to the scene. You can see that it added to wherever we had the last thing selected. So let's drag that to the bottom of the scene so it's outside of the hierarchy. We're going to move this back till it matches where the heel is. If you want to do any accurate matching, you can change this mesh into subdivision surfaces and then match that to the mesh. We're going to move that right about there. Switch to a front view, use the A key to center our selection, and move it along x-axis until the manipulator sits right on top of the ankle. Let's go back to a left view. We'll pick any old bone, tap the plus key to add another bone to the scene. We'll parent that to IK foot R. We're going to move this bone forward to where the toes are. Adjust its length. We will call this one toes R. Under the skeleton tab, you can use an add bone instead of add child bone, which is the plus key. The add bone is simply the multiply key on the keyboard. What that does is it reproduces a bone in the exact same position as your selection, with the exact same name, of course. We're going to pitch this bone backwards and aim the tip of this bone until it reaches the base of our ankle attach R. Plus key again to add one more bone. We're going to pitch this down. Doesn't matter what length this bone is, it will be an attach point for our IK ankle end effector. We're going to name this bone Arch R, and then the last bone IK ankle R. We're going to add a command that links the leg bone to the ankle. So go to the command tab, and while we're in the variables tab, click on make a new variable. We're going to call this variable the name of the character, Nate_IK align foot R. Underneath it, it says empty. That's because we need to put an expression in there to make a constraint. Go to the expressions tab, and under a pull down menu here, look for an expression called IK2D. Double click on that to add that to the selection, and there's a set of fields down here at the bottom. Let's zoom out and frame the leg. We're going to start by selecting the root of this IK effector. We're going to add that to the first field. Click on our tiny little ankle attach R button. That will be the end effector. We're going to middle mouse click and highlight IK ankle R, which will be the goal it attaches to. One for alignment and one for on. Right mouse click on the button next to the expressions pull down menu to add that to the expression. You want to test it out, just middle mouse click on the foot and pick the foot up. You can see our triple joints acting kind of strange on the IK. The IK chain is taking the angles and dividing them equally between all of the joints. So select one of the joints, we'll go to the Animate tab, and under the Inverse Kinematics tab, set the pitch stiffness to 1. Same thing down here for calf 2R, set the stiffness to 1. So the only thing that's most likely to bend is calf 1R, or where the knee is at. That's a simple IK chain. Let's go back to the Command tab. We're going to add another variable. We're going to call this one Nate_rotate toe R. Switch to a perspective view for this one. We'll zoom in on the foot. We are going to link heading from our arch to the toe heading, so the toe moves with the foot. While the bone is selected, highlight the heading axis. We're going to go to the Expressions tab, and under the buffer, right-click to add whatever currently is selected to the expression. In this case, it's the heading channel on our arch. Middle mouse click on toe R, and we're going to go to the channels, and we're going to check this checkbox, which makes the active selection show up in the pull-down menu. We're going to add the heading channel, make sure that's selected, to the toes. So when we grab heading and rotate them, the toes rotate as well. Let's go to the animate block, and we'll reset the keyframes for all of those inside the motion block. And we're finished for that toe. You can switch back into setup and shut off any axes we're not going to use. In this case, we're never going to use bank or XYZ translate. With the toe, we're never going to use heading or bank. We're just going to stick with pitch. Turn off XYZ translate. IK ankle R can be hidden. It never gets used at all. So change its draw mode to N. Let's go up to the top. We'll middle mouse click on thigh 1R. We're never going to need to animate any of that, so we'll hide that. So use the control key and multi-select everything underneath that, change their draw modes to N, and right mouse click to red lock them. So all that's left is rotate leg R and leg R. So red lock that, and we'll change that draw mode to N. We'll go to the file menu. We're going to save this scene as Nate Setup B.fxs.